Mysterious music begins and fades into the background.
Okay, just think about this for a second. Imagine a world where all medicine, all healing, all of it comes from just one single divine source. Now, what happens if that source just disappears? That's the exact crisis we're going to dig into today, straight from the ancient world of the Anatolians.
So yeah, our story kicks off with a massive divine emergency, and an entire population left completely in the lurch. What's so wild about this is how blunt the ancient text is, you know? There's no poetry, no metaphor, it's just pure, unfiltered panic. The very foundation of their world, health, safety, it hasn't just been shaken, it's literally walked away, leaving them totally exposed.
So who is this AWOL deity? Meet Kamrusepha. And she was no minor player, believe me. She was the Luwian goddess of both health and prophecy. In a time before science, she was the doctor, the pharmacy, and the entire medical library all rolled into one. And she was gone.
Right, so with your goddess on an unscheduled vacation, how do you heal the sick? You can't just go invent new medicine. Instead, you turn to a whole different way of thinking. You turn to the logic of magic. The whole system was built on something called analogy magic, and the principle is actually kind of simple, but really profound. If you want to get rid of something, say a headache, you do something symbolic to an object that mimics what you want to happen to the pain itself. It's basically acting out the result you want, to force it into reality.
So here's a breakdown of how a ritual would actually go down. First, you'd gather some natural stuff, wool, reeds, wheat, simple enough. Then, and this is key, a priest or priestess would load these items up with spells, turning them into magical containers. The next step is the crucial one. They'd perform actions to literally transfer the sickness from the patient's body into those items. And finally, you take those objects, now full of the illness, and you get rid of them, banish them to the sky, or bury them deep in the earth.
And the spells themselves were amazing. We're not talking about vague wishes here. These were direct commands. They would order a headache to literally turn into vapor and just fly away. They'd command the black earth to act like a cosmic sponge and just soak up all the patient's suffering. This wasn't just hoping for the best. It was a hands-on magical intervention.
Now, you're probably thinking this was just a weird one-time crisis about a single goddess having a bad day. But when you look at the other texts, you realize something much, much stranger was going on.
So, was Kamrušepa the only deity with a habit of vanishing right when people needed her the most? Oh, not even close.
It seems that ancient Anatolia was dealing with what you could almost call a disappearance fad. Seriously, it wasn't just Kamrusepha. Other huge deities, like the super-powerful storm god of Lazina, they went missing too. And incredibly, it wasn't even just a problem with the gods.
I mean, the story of the storm god is just nuts. He apparently threw a fit, wrecked his own city, and then just quit his job as a god to become a farmer. Totally off the grid, hiding from everyone. It shows you their gods weren't these distant, perfect beings. They were moody, emotional, and could just decide they were done with it all.
And this whole idea went all the way down to the human level. The Anatolians believed a person's soul could actually get lost, swallowed up by what they called the Great Road, which is kind of like their concept of an underworld. And a lost soul didn't get to rest in peace. Nope, it was doomed to just wander the earth as a ghost. So this disappearing problem was cosmic, divine, and deeply personal.
So, what do you do when your gods are in hiding and souls are getting lost? Who are you going to call? You need a search party. But the hero of this story is the absolute last creature you would ever expect.
That's right, a bee. Not a mighty warrior, not a clever king, a tiny, buzzing bee. In these myths, again and again, the bee is the ultimate search and rescue agent. It's the one being that can actually fix these divine messes.
And what a mission it had. The text described the bee as being made for this one single purpose, to search every last corner of existence. It would fly over mountains, down into valleys, across the seas, and all through the skies. Just this relentless, tireless search to find whoever was lost, whether it was a god or a human soul, and bring them back to set things right.
So this all leads to a final thought, doesn't it? In a world where your health insurance is a goddess's mood and your medical treatment is a magic ritual, the worst disease isn't really physical at all. It's despair. And for the ancient Anatolians, the cure for that despair wasn't some new potion. It was the belief, the stubborn hope,
that even when everything seems lost, there's always a tireless, determined little bee out there working against the odds to bring the light back home.